Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts has heard that no politicians are currently being investigated for alleged involvement in corruption at Eskom. The Police Minister, Commissioner, Hawks and Special Investigating Unit bosses were all quizzed by MPs today after former CEO André de Ruyter claimed an unnamed senior political player was involved in corruption at Eskom. Officials were also questioned about a privately funded investigation into some of the issues at the utility. Erin reports.
As everyday South Africans deal with the seemingly unending toll of load shedding, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts is seeking answers, including those from the heads of law enforcement agencies. On Tuesday morning, the Police Commissioner Fanny Mosemela, head of the Hawks General Godfrey Lebeya, and head of the SIU Advocate Andy Mutibi all appeared to provide answers on what responses law enforcement has made in light of flagrant allegations from former Group CEO André de Ruyter. Police Minister Bheki Cele was also there and is adamant that he has the personal and political will to get to the bottom of the rot at Eskom. But none of those who spoke to Scopa have any knowledge of a senior politician being investigated over alleged links and involvement in a criminal and often violent, goes the allegation, syndicate fleecing Eskom and putting the national grid in danger. Mutibi raised questions about a private investigation into some of the graft at Eskom, which de Ruyter used in order to raise some of his concerns, first in a media interview and then before Scopa.
It is really our interest to seek certain clarifications and answers to certain questions in terms of what has transpired here. So we really just indicate that we would need to understand who authorized the appointment of the private investigating company that the former CEO referred to. And why would Eskom appoint private investigating company when the allegations could have been referred to the SIU or to the GPCI or State Security Agency for investigation? Whether the report of the private investigating company was handed to Eskom and presented to the accounting authority, which is the board. Now, if the report was so presented to Eskom or accounting authority, we would definitely want to have access to that report to consider it for further investigations that could be required from a recovery perspective and probably from maladministration and although, of course, from a corruption perspective.
Mosemela is adamant that police have not sat idle in response to de Ruyter's allegations, but both he and Lebeya insisted that this forms part of a broader effort by the police to deal with graft at Eskom. The Police Commissioner, Mosemela, raised in particular investigations and work with boots of police on the ground in Mpumalanga to deal with coal syndicates and criminal networks which are fleecing Eskom of fuel and fuel oil. It's something Cele touched on too when he reflected on his visits to an Eskom power plant. And it's become very clear from the input of all of those who testified before Scopa on Tuesday that there is clear evidence of criminality, sophisticated, organized and even potentially politically connected at play at Eskom. The Utilities Board is set to testify before Scopa on Wednesday morning, and MPs may well be looking for answers on the nature of the private probe into Eskom graft, who commissioned it, how it was paid for, and the identities of the authors. But in terms of actual movement on the allegations de Ruyter has raised, it's a bit of a balancing act. On the one hand, we hear that de Ruyter himself is being investigated by the authorities for perhaps failing to report criminality when he was the CEO of Eskom. At the same time, Mosemela undertook to investigate his security protocols with his life potentially in danger as a so-called whistleblower who may, as one MP put it, have the national interest at heart. For Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, I'm Erin at Parliament in Cape Town.